I think that's certainly a risk for anyone looking to invest in the ARM IPO, along with the valuation, which, is probably closer to being in line with NVIDIA. NVIDIA, we're seeing sales expected to grow around 70% this quarter, whereas ARM sales are falling. ARM's very exposed to a maturing smartphone market. I just don't think you have that same kind of AI theme running behind ARM there. Now, I'm no expert on ARM specifically, but we do obviously look at this from a perspective of SoftBank. And SoftBank clearly needs to raise money because it does have a lot of debt. It has a lot of cash on the balance sheet currently, but some of that is going to acquire this 25% stake, according to an agreement that no one knew about. And SoftBank, is not known as a poster child for good corporate governance. So going into an IPO where SoftBank owns 90% of the company you're buying into, I'd be cautious.
And not only going into a market where the SoftBank owns 90% of the company, but a company that has, I don't want to put this to point the finger too sharply, but this internal deal that they did, valuing SoftBank at around ARM at about 64 billion, doesn't really stack up if you look at the numbers of the business that the company is doing. So there seems to be, an attempt to put a lot of gloss on this particular sale, and that's really. I guess Sun is really has a lot riding on this, doesn't he? Because if it doesn't come in at that, then all this talk that he's back in his game right now will be exposed.
Yeah, well, I think there's been a lot of press floated around trying to justify the valuation. I think this move may have been another attempt to push that valuation up. We've seen 28 banks, I think it is, brought in to underwrite this IPO. We've seen probably the amount, I think, or anticipated amount that will be sold scaled back in order to try and get that higher valuation. The numbers don't seem to stack up for me. I mean, we're talking about 100 times earnings, or ballpark, 20 plus times sales for a company that has 25% of its sales from China, where the sales are declining 16%, I think, in the most recent quarter, due to restrictions on what they're allowed to sell, but also rising competition from the RISC-V open source chip designs. So I think, and that's anticipated to increase more. Morgan Stanley had a report where they surveyed a number of engineers at MCU companies where they anticipate adopting RISC-V a lot more in the future.